It's a great question, right? I mean, you know all the jokes. You know every single plot twist. You definitely know how it ends. So why do we keep going back? Today, we're going to get into what this super common habit actually says about how our brains are wired to deal with this crazy complex world we live in.
You know, on the surface, it's easy to dismiss it, to think it's kind of lazy or that you're just stuck in a rut. But when you look at it from a psychological point of view, a totally different story emerges. It turns out rewatching isn't about being stuck at all. It's actually a really smart, self-aware strategy our brains use to feel safe and regulated when the world feels a little chaotic.
So the first big reason is all about giving our brains a much-needed break. Let's be honest, modern life is just this constant stream of mental noise, right? And a familiar story, that can offer a moment of real, welcome silence. This all boils down to a concept called cognitive load. Just think of your brain like a computer with a limited amount of RAM. Every new thing you have to process, every decision you make, every shocking plot twist in a new show, it all uses up that RAM. And when you're just getting bombarded all day, your brain's processor gets totally overwhelmed. You just feel mentally wiped out.
So when you jump into a brand new series, your brain goes into overdrive. You're tracking the plot, trying to predict what's going to happen, processing all the emotional highs and lows. But with an old, familiar story, all of that mental heavy lifting just disappears. Your brain already knows the ending, so it can finally switch off, relax, and just recharge.
And for anyone out there whose mind feels like it's always running a mile a minute, that feeling is just incredibly valuable. It's a chance to just be, without that constant pressure to analyze or predict or react. It's a moment of actual mental quiet. But look, it's not just about giving your brain a rest. Rewatching is also a really powerful way to manage your emotions. It lets you step into a world where you know exactly what to expect, and that creates this incredible sense of safety and control. This is something we often see in people who have a trait called stress inoculation. It's a fascinating idea. Basically, because they've navigated tough stuff in the past, they've developed this amazing ability to stay calm under pressure. They are the person you want around in a crisis. But here's the thing, constantly being the calm in the storm takes a huge toll. It requires an immense amount of emotional energy to hold it all together, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you too. It's exhausting.
And this is why rewatching becomes so important. When you press play on that favorite show, you're not just watching a story. You are actively choosing an emotional experience that you are in complete control of. You know for a fact there won't be a sudden stressful betrayal or a cliffhanger you just aren't ready for. You're literally protecting your own peace.
Okay, so we've got mental rest and emotional safety. But there's a third piece to this puzzle: autonomy. Rewatching is an act of personal choice, a way of taking back control in a world that's constantly screaming at you about what you should be doing next.
This connects to a psychological concept called an internal locus of control. It sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. It just means you get your sense of satisfaction from the inside. Your happiness isn't dependent on what's happening on the outside, like social media trends or what everyone else is buzzing about. So people with this trait, they don't feel that constant pressure to watch the latest hit show just so they can be part of the conversation. They don't need that validation from being caught up. For them, a meaningful moment is more real when it's just for them, on their own terms. It's about being in control of their own energy. And that, right there, is an incredibly powerful thing. By choosing to stick with a story that you love, you are making a conscious decision. You're choosing calm over potential chaos, and you're not letting some algorithm or a trending list make that choice for you. So, let's bring this all together. Far from being some lazy, unproductive habit, rewatching your favorite shows is actually a really intelligent and self-aware coping strategy. So if you've ever found yourself thinking, I'm just being unproductive, the reality is so much deeper than that. What you're actually doing is using the tools at your disposal to manage a complex mind and protect your mental health in a world that can feel pretty overwhelming. What you've really done, what you've figured out, is how to create a little pocket of safety and predictability in a world that often doesn't have much of either. And that's not just a coping mechanism, that's a genuine strength. So the next time you feel yourself being pulled back to that familiar story, that familiar world, maybe just pause and ask yourself, what is it right now that my mind needs from this? The answer might just be a really powerful insight into what's going on inside and what you need most in this moment.